Hello, everyone. Dr. Victoria Skirbo here, speaking to you from the Seeds of Transformation Healing Center in Wareham, Massachusetts. It's time to look at the week ahead. I'm a little late. I apologize for that. But we are going to, today is the 20th. I am going to talk about yesterday because, it's the week. So, all right, let's get started. Okay, so we're looking at the fourth week of June. That's June 19th, 2022 to June 25th. And it's been quite a month so far, right? And of course, there's always more sort of the energy of being informed or information or a conversation when the sun is in Gemini. And now, of course, the sun this week is going to move into Cancer. But let's talk about the things that happen. All right, on Sunday, the 18th. So Sunday, we had a 30/3 vibration to the day that is associated with Hesed on the Tree of Life for those students of mine who are studying the Tree of Life with me. And that is associated with Jupiter. It's associated with expansion. Excuse me, it's associated with loving kindness and finding your voice, right? So we on Sunday early, we had a waxing sextile between Venus and Neptune at 26 degrees of Taurus and Pisces. Sextiles are opportunistic. There are two types of sextiles. Both are mentally stimulating. This one is the one in which we are open to sharing information, to communicating. The lines of communication are open. Now, Venus in Taurus, it's in her in the sign of her rulership, and Neptune in Pisces is in the sign of its rulership. So this is a beautiful aspect, but made even more powerful by the fact that the planets are in the signs that they rule. So we're bringing in love, we're bringing in compassion, we're bringing in that Pisces energy, we're bringing in that Venus energy, but Venus in Taurus is very practical. So it's practical compassion, right? It's also a good way to start the week from a more feminine perspective, because Venus is in a powerful position at the start of the week. This brings creativity, compassion, joy, love. At the same time, the more masculine energies of Sunday is the sun in conjunct Pluto. The sun is at 29 degrees of Gemini, Pluto at 29 degrees of Capricorn. It is moving retrograde right now, Pluto, so it's going to back out of that 29th degree and go into the 28th degree this week. But I think it backs up all the way to 26, maybe, yeah, about 26 degrees of Capricorn before it goes forward. And then next year, it actually goes into Aquarius for a little while. So that's interesting. It will be interesting. But this in conjunct, we need, the issue is power struggles. The issue is power struggles. You may feel like you're being held back. You may feel like, somebody's manipulating you, or you can't express yourself the way you would like to. Most of that sense of not being able to express yourself than you would like to, or a sense of feeling held back, is actually coming from within. It's actually coming from within. As you have an inner sense, perhaps, that while you crave the power of Pluto, or while you crave that power, it requires a lot of, in order to really manage Pluto in Capricorn, you really have to be responsible. Capricorn is the sign of responsibility. It's a Saturn ruled sign. So if you're not being responsible, there's quite a bit of karma that you can take on, and we can see that in the world as certain people not being responsible. Leaders are sort of taking on a lot of karma. Mental adjustments are necessary, and this is it'll take a couple of days, but this will ease off quite a bit as the week continues. So on Monday, which is today, happy Monday, everyone, we have Mercury making a waxing sextile to Jupiter. Again, sextiles are mentally stimulating. This is another Gemini side sextile, so we're dealing with opening the lines of communication. This is especially a potent one because this is actually the last of three. We had three of these exact sextiles, and Jupiter is the planet of the right brain, and Mercury is the planet of the left brain. And so when they are in an aspect that is considered flowing or opportunistic or quote unquote good aspect, of course, there are no good or bad aspects. There are some more difficult ones and there are some more pleasant. I love sextiles because they're mentally stimulating and I tend to work in that. That's sort of my thing, right? Just like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. It's like aha moments, right? Constantly with this kind of aspect. But we are dealing with the synodic cycle that actually began back, let's see, the initial conjunction occurred on March 21st, 2022. So that's right around the first day of spring. Interesting, we're right at the first day of summer, just about, and we have this last of three sextiles. So there has been a lot of communication. There's been a lot of back and forth. You know, Sagittarius or Jupiter is about truth, right? As the ruler of Sagittarius, Jupiter likes the truth and Mercury likes information. And so we've been getting more and more truthful information than maybe we're even used to, right? I mean, we're certainly used to the lies, and people were like, oh, another lie, another lie, another lie. After a while, you're like, yeah, I don't believe anything you say. But now that, you know, things are being proven and all the rest, I think it's a pretty exciting time. You know, overall. So this is the third of three exact sextiles. And the Sabian symbol for the initial conjunction was a master instructing his disciples, the transfer of power and knowledge, which keeps the original spiritual and creative impulse in a cycle of the cycle active and undeviated. So this, you know, when we're dealing with a master instructing his disciples, it does take a certain amount of discipline. And if you've been disciplined about your sort of, you know, maybe taking notes or paying attention or whatever it is, in whatever realm it is, it doesn't have to necessarily be what you're watching on TV, or it doesn't, you know, as far as the January 6th stuff, just be in your life. Or what are you paying attention to, right? You need to like consistently be curious about things. You need to consistently search and seek out the relevant information so that you can help to master something, right? So if we look over here, we have the chart, and let's see where we have it. Here is Mercury at 142 of Gemini, and here is Jupiter at 142 of, actually, this might be the second one. Okay, so this is not the actual one that's happening right now, because we have Mercury retrograde. So this was actually there were three of them. This was actually the second one. I put the wrong one in there, so I apologize for that. All right, so we also have on the 20th, the last quarter moon between the sun and the moon. And actually, if you want to look at it here, here's Mercury, right? And here is Jupiter. And we go by Jupiter because Mercury moves faster. So it occurred at 7 degrees. So we can see that Jupiter, Mercury right here in this chart. But this chart is a chart for the last quarter square. And we have the moon at the last degree of Pisces. We have the sun at the last degree of Gemini. Once these sort of move over, the moon moving into Aries and then the sun moving into Cancer, the energy shifts, the energy changes. It goes from mutable signs, which are, somewhat wishy-washy. Is it this or is it that? Is it like, to the initiatory signs where we're being required to move in a new direction and initiate something new. So we're just on the verge of that. And of course, tomorrow the sun is going to move into Cancer, and that is a cardinal sign. And so we initiate something new with that. So there's even going to be a different flavor as we move into the rest of the week here. But let's look at this last quarter moon, because I think it's worth talking about. The last quarter moons are always crisis in consciousness moons, right? The lunation cycle spans the month from the new moon to the next new moon, right? We have a new moon next week in Cancer. But this is part of the synodic cycle that began with the new moon in Gemini. And that occurred on the 30th of May. That was a 41.5 vibration, which is the Ace of Cups, incidentally. And it occurred at 10 degrees of Gemini. And it's a very curious symbol for 10 degrees of Gemini. It says an airplane performing a nosedive. So if you read the book, I don't have it right in front of me. Dan Rogers' book, where I take most of this Sabian symbol information from. When he talks about this symbol, he talks about somebody daring to sort of do that sort of trick of going straight down and then having the ability to nosedive and to come back up from it, right? But sometimes they do, and they become famous for their ability to overcome death. And sometimes they crash, and then they become infamous for crashing into the ground. So as to what's going to happen, I'm not sure we actually know quite yet. We're still in that last quarter moon. I'm thinking of a certain person who seems, well, from my perspective anyways, nose diving into the ground. There are other people who might have another perspective on that, but this is the perspective I choose to look at. Now we come to the last quarter moon. So 30 degrees of Gemini, the symbol for where the sun is sitting in Gemini. It says a parade of bathing beauties before large beach crowds, the settling of social standards through personal excellence and competition. So this is a competition. Who's the most beautiful? Who's the most talented? Who's the most poised, right? And that is square the moon at 30 degrees of Pisces. And this says a majestic rock formation resembling a face is idealized by a boy who takes his ideal of greatness, and as he grows begins to look like it. So this is an ability to visualize what it is that you want to, what it is that you desire, or what it is that you admire, and becoming that. So it's very interesting because we have this beauty contest, which is sort of like deciding who's the most beautiful. And then we have this other symbol, which is more about like creating ourselves into what's important to us, right? As opposed to what's important to the crowds at the beach, right? What's more important, what other people think of you or what you think of yourself? And I think that there's a lesson in that for us, because many people do things because of how it seems to others. But if you're not in alignment with your own heart and you can't sort of dream your own dreams instead of dreaming the dreams that other people dream for you, you know, it's a question. It's a question to be looked at and to be answered, and perhaps maybe to be considered, because the cardinal signs tend to be self-starters, right? The next sign that both of these planets are moving into are the self-starting signs. It's not like they don't care, especially Libra, because Libra is a cardinal sign. It cares a lot. Actually, Capricorn cares a lot, but Cancer and Aries, maybe not so much. Cancer and Aries are much more sort of defined by the person as opposed to how they fit into the world. All right, so we have that last quarter crisis in consciousness square on Tuesday, sorry guys, we don't want to do that. June 21st, 2022, which is a 33.6 vibration, which is the 7 of Wands, and is located in Netzach, the Sephiroth of Venus on the Tree of Life. we have Venus making a trine to Pluto at 28 degrees Taurus and Capricorn. Now, of course, Venus is still in Taurus, very powerfully placed. Pluto is in Capricorn. Pluto is a planet associated with power, and Capricorn is a sign of power. So while Pluto doesn't necessarily rule Capricorn, it has a certain amount of resonance with Capricorn. The difference is with Capricorn, what you do matters even more because of the level of karma that Capricorn brings to the party. Capricorn is ruled by the sign of it's by the planet Saturn, which is, as you sow, so shall you reap. So all these people who are sowing seeds for themselves will eventually reap the negative aspects of, if they acted irresponsibly, quite honestly. It all comes around, it all comes out in the wash, as they say. But let's talk about this Venus-Pluto trine. This is a waxing trine, meaning it's a growing trine. So it has the energy of Leo, creative self-expression. So it can be somewhat egotistical. So this can bring out people's egotistical perspective. This can bring, I am the grand poobah. I am, the best thing. I am the most powerful and mighty Oz. Which with the trine, actually, there's quite a lot, there's nothing actually impeding the energy of a trine. So when we have trines, they're very powerful, but they can sort of sit in the background unless we choose to utilize them. So this is an opportunity for us to really utilize the power of Pluto, the power of change, the power of transformation in those things that we value. Venus. This is part of the Venus-Pluto synodic cycle that began with 3 conjunctions of Pluto and Venus. Remember, Venus had that retrograde period while she was in Capricorn. So she met up with Pluto 3 times. The first time she met up with Pluto was actually December 11th of 2021. That vibrated to a 28-1 vibration. The 28-1 is the 2 of Wands in the tarot, and it's located in Chokmah. Chokmah is the Sephiroth of wisdom, and is connected to Uranus. So this first conjunction of Venus and Capricorn had that overlaying energy of Uranus and the overlaying energy of the 1 vibration, which is about striking out on your own, right? The second one occurred at 26 degrees of Capricorn as well. This occurred on Christmas. That was a 42.6 vibration, which is also located in Chokmah. So again, we have this Uranian energy. Now, as we come to the third and final trine, the third and final conjunction that started this whole cycle, we look to March 3rd, 2022. It was a 12.3 vibration, which is on a path in the tree of life. And that path is ruled by Neptune. It's the hanged man. It's the hanged man. So we have this energy of revolution, and then a certain amount of acceptance that comes with it. So that was the beginning of the synodic cycle of Venus and Pluto. And now we have come to this very powerful first quarter, waxing trine. So this flow, all that information, all that experience, all that energy flowing from Pluto into Venus. And we will find ourselves expressing ourselves. Now, what may come up during this time is what the Supreme Court is going to do about abortion rights. We might hear about this soon. And this energy is sort of part of that. So according to news, it's a done deal. But I'll wait and see. I'm a wait and see kind of person. Maybe it's because I've lived in New England for 30 years, and when you want to know what the weather is going to be like, you kind of have to wait and see. So I'm really good at waiting and seeing. So Venus is at 28 degrees of Taurus. A woman past her change of life experiences a new level. Isn't that lovely? A man's capacity to rise in consciousness and feelings above biological limitations. So this is about being more than just our physical bodies, right? This is This is being more than just what our physical bodies can determine for us. We can have new beginnings. It doesn't matter how old you are. It doesn't matter how infirmed you are. It doesn't matter how young you are. It's all about an opportunity for new beginnings, which really is what Pluto is about. Pluto is the planet of death and rebirth, right? And so there's a rebirth here. There's a rebirthing of love. And because the trine has that vibration of Leo, I would say that this is a really and truly an opportunity of a rebirthing of love. And we have Pluto at 28 degrees of Capricorn, which incidentally is the degree of the Pluto in the United States chart. Although not exact, this is not the exact degree, but it is the symbol. And we have in a large aviary, the enjoyment of spiritual values by the soul, able to familiarize itself with their implications. When you read Dane Rudger's book, it really talks about an ability to sort of listen to all the different bird calls and to be able to discern what bird is calling what thing. But the fact that you can sort of sit in this beautiful aviary and the differences in the voices of the birds or the people, as it were, um, in the case of maybe the United States, is a cacophony, but it has a rhythm and it has a balance, and we have the capacity to hold it all together in that aviary. Um, Many people, many different opinions, many different ideas, many different feelings, and yet there are certain things that we can agree on. One of the challenges that we're finding right now is the agreeing on reality, and there lies the fly in the ointment. Okay, on June 21st, 2022, a 33.6 vibration. 33 is a master number, a master of spiritual compassion, or master of compassion, I should say. Located in Netzach, the Sephiroth of Venus. It's associated with the Seven of Wands. The guy up there holding back the other people, the other wands. It's about having the higher moral ground, right? It's about fighting off all comers. It's about having a higher perspective than the people who are attacking you. Okay, so this is sort of a vibration that comes in numerologically with this date. We have the first day of summer here in the Northern Hemisphere and the first day of winter in the Southern Hemisphere. So for you down in the Southern Hemisphere, I know it's been really cold in Australia. The light is starting to increase now. After the summer solstice or winter solstice down in Australia, in the case of Australia, the light increases. Here, the light starts to decrease, but it does get pretty hot. So even though the light is less, it doesn't feel like the light is less. We don't really notice that until about September, when we notice that it's getting darker and darker and maybe hopefully cooler and cooler. So the sun ingress into Cancer, the Sabian symbol for 1 degree of Cancer, is on a ship. The sailors lower an old flag and raise a new one. The keynote here is a radical change of allegiance, externalized in a symbolic act, the point of no return. Now, what I like to do is when the sun moves into a sign, I like to look at the ruler of that sign. And in this case, the ruler of that sign is the moon, right? The moon is Cancer rules the moon, or the moon rules Cancer, sorry, in the rulership in astrology. And so where is the moon? Well, the moon happens to be in Aries, interestingly enough. I remember I said the sun's going to be in moving into Cancer, the cardinal sign. The moon has moved into Aries, the cardinal sign. So we're looking at this sort of sun-moon relationship, and it's still in square to each other. It's still part of a square, last quarter crisis in consciousness square. So this whole sort of season of summer, or season of winter in the case of the Western, the Southern Hemisphere, the Western Hemisphere, there is not, well, anyway, that does not that. The Southern Hemisphere has this energy of questioning authority, and so that will continue throughout the whole season. That this chart sort of is is part of and influences. So we have the moon at 4 degrees of Aries. It says two lovers strolling on a secluded walk. The progressive polarization of energies needed for fulfilling one's life function. Duality is part of our reality, and we need to sort of ponder that. The idea of being on a secluded path indicates some introspection here. But it's two lovers, so it's the two sides of things, right? The duality, the male and the female, the black and the white, right? That whole sort of black and white in like the colors, black and white, right? So it's a necessary time for really sort of pondering, I think, the situation that we find ourselves in, and then whose flag are we going to raise? That's the question. Whose flag are we going to raise? Let's look at the charts here. So we have on the left the U.S. chart. No, on the left we have the chart for just the Aries rising chart, and then we have the sun moving into Cancer on the right here, which is for the US. I just wanted to sort of pull that up as well. Interestingly enough, the US chart has a Gemini rising. Gemini rising would be Mercury, right? Mercury rules this chart. And we have Mercury powerfully placed in Gemini, but in the 12th house. So there are some things going on behind the scenes. The 12th house can be very mysterious, very mysterious. We also look to see like what is happening to the sun at this time. Well, the sun is square the moon, that we know, but the sun is also still trine. Let me just make sure I'm saying this right. What's the sun doing? The sun is actually making a trine to Saturn. That brings structure. And I'm just looking to see, and then it squares the moon. Yes, squares the moon. And the sun squares Jupiter as well. All right, so big feelings. Some angry people out there. Just be aware and take care. I think that's important for the whole season, not just today or any day, but I think 2021, be aware and take care. 2022, be aware and take care probably works too. Okay. All right. On the 22nd of June, we have Venus ingressing into Gemini. She's been in Taurus. I love her in Taurus. I have a Venus in Taurus. So it always feels good when she's in Taurus. She ingresses into Gemini. She can't stay in Taurus forever. And so this is, whenever I'm dealing with Venus ingressing into other signs, I just picture like what the woman is going to do, right? So here we have Venus gets out of her garden togs and dons a summery frock and goes out about checking out the neighborhood. So with Venus in Gemini, this is a really good time to go out into your neighborhood, assuming it's safe enough to do that, and talk to your neighbors, have conversations, maybe make them cookies or reach out, see who's around you. We've been so isolated for so long. And I think that, there's a certain amount of trepidation to just let new people into your life. But maybe this is the time. This is the time to know who your neighbors are. And with Venus in Gemini, I think that's also that can also be a wonderful thing. Venus traveling through Gemini stimulates communication, information gathering, fickleness, and changeability. So, I love this. Oh, I love that. I love this. So, this can be a little fickle in love as well, with Venus being the planet of love. But keeping it light and keeping it bright and keeping it, you don't want, it's like Venus in Gemini does not necessarily like things deep and dark. It likes things light and airy. And often I associate Venus in Gemini with the butterfly, going to each flower to get the joy and the sweetness from each flower, and then tasting the next flower, and then tasting the next flower. And the more tasting that the butterfly can do, the more delicious the honey. So it's important that we go out and about and meet and greet the people who are close. And this is also an opportunity to spend some time with siblings, because Gemini is a sign associated with siblings. And we can see here, we have Venus right here. It's actually within a conjunction to Mercury, which is the ruler of Gemini. So that's nice. We have Venus still, Venus is still trine Pluto here. So that's powerful. Venus is, it's kind of wide, but there's somewhat of a sextile here between Venus and Jupiter that will come in, that will become exact, I think, next week. Yeah. All right. So let's see. All right. So that's it for the week. Next week, we have a new moon in Cancer. And there's just a couple of things happening next week, but I think I'll wait till next week to talk about it so I don't keep you guys too long. All right. Okay. So I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found this helpful. Please like and subscribe if you would like to get notifications when I do things. If you're interested in having a reading with me, you can reach me at my website, theseedoftransformation.com. When you select the reading that you want, there is a calendar that comes up, and you can pick what date and time you would like to do it. All times are in Eastern time. So right now it's Eastern Daylight Time. So take that into consideration if you're requesting from far away, or not this coast anyway. All right, guys, have yourself a wonderful week. I will see you again next week, and I'm going to try to get some card readings done this week. I've been busy developing a new Kabbalah and Tarot class, so I've kind of been busy with that. But I do promise I will pull the cards out and I will do some card readings for you. All right, take care, everyone. Much love. Happy summer, everyone, or winter, depending. Take care. Love you. Namaste.